this folder weighs nothing. 23 pages. Blueprints mostly. Technical drawings for a structure that was never supposed to stop being built. A project that had no completion date because completion was never the point. The folder is labeled Object 19 Sigma. Construction authorization dated April 1977. Location, 40 kilometers southeast of Sverdlovsk. Remote, forested. Far enough from civilian populations that questions wouldn't be asked. Close enough to rail lines that materials could be delivered without attracting attention. The project was classified under the Ministry of Medium Machine Building. That's the bureaucratic name for the nuclear industry. Reactors, weapons facilities, places that didn't officially exist. Object 19. Sigma was listed as a research installation. Seismic monitoring, geological surveys. Standard cover story for anything the state wanted to hide. The construction authorization is signed by 3 people. 2 signatures are legible. Deputy Minister Konstantin Orlov, Chief Engineer Pavel Zhukov. The 3rd signature is a scrawl, illegible. No name typed below it, just a stamp. Red ink, Directorate seal. The authorization includes a budget, 40 million rubles over 3 years. Workforce allocation, 200 construction workers, rotating shifts, maximum security clearance required. Completion date, December 1980. Except there is no completion date, not really. Look at the next page, the architectural plans, drawn by the Leningrad Design Institute, approved May 1977. The building is simple, rectangular, reinforced concrete, 4 levels, 3 above ground, 1 below. Standard Soviet industrial architecture. Functional, brutal, forgettable. But there's something wrong with the plans. The 4th level, the underground section, has no measurements, no dimensions, no scale, just an outline, a shape. And a note in the margin, handwritten.
Depth to be determined during construction. Excavation continues until otherwise instructed.
No bottom, no foundation depth, no stopping point. Just dig until someone tells you to stop. The first construction report is dated June 1977, filed by Site Supervisor Gregor Antonov. Professional, routine. Everything proceeding according to schedule.
Foundation excavation commenced June 12th. Crew of 40 men, 2 shifts. Soil composition, clay and limestone. No complications. Depth achieved, 12 meters. Pouring concrete supports week of June 19th.
The next report, July 1977. Same supervisor, same professional tone. But something has changed.
Excavation continues. Current depth, 18 meters. Unexpected issue. Limestone layer deeper than anticipated. Recommend revised timeline for foundation completion. Concrete pouring delayed. Awaiting further instructions.
The response came from Chief Engineer Zhukov. Single line, typed on official letterhead.
Continue excavation. Do not pour foundation. Await updated specifications.
August 1977. Antonov's report is shorter, more confused.
Excavation depth, 26 meters. Crew reports unusual echoes at bottom of shaft. Possible underground cavity. Request geological survey before proceeding. Recommend halting excavation until structural integrity confirmed.
Zhukov's response, same day.
Geological survey unnecessary. Continue excavation. Foundation specifications forthcoming.
September 1977. Depth 34 meters. Antonov's tone has shifted. No longer professional, uncertain.
Excavation continues per orders. Depth now exceeds any previous project I have supervised. Crew, morale declining. Men report headaches, disorientation when working below 30 meters. Request clarification on final depth requirements. Request updated plans.
No response from Zhukov, but there's a memo, filed 3 days later. Not from Zhukov. From the site security officer, Captain Yuri Melnikov, KGB, 2nd Chief Directorate.
Site Supervisor Antonov exhibiting signs of insubordination. Repeated requests for information outside his clearance level. Recommend monitoring. Crew discipline remains acceptable. Work continues.
October 1977. Depth 41 meters. No report from Antonov. Instead, there's a medical log. Site physician, Dr. Tatiana Volkova.
Treated 14 workers for symptoms consistent with altitude sickness, dizziness, nausea, pressure in ears. Unusual given we are digging down, not ascending. Symptoms resolve after workers removed from excavation site. Recommend reducing shift length below 30 meters.
Dr. Volkova's recommendation was noted. Shifts were reduced from 8 hours to 6 hours. Excavation continued. November 1977. Depth 50 meters. Antonov's final report.
I am requesting immediate transfer from this project. The excavation has no purpose. We have gone deeper than any foundation requires. Deeper than is structurally sound. The men hear things down there. Echoes that don't make sense. Sounds that move. I cannot continue supervising work I do not understand.
Antonov was transferred, not to another project, to a psychiatric facility in Novosibirsk. Diagnosis: work-related stress, paranoid ideation. He was released 6 months later. His personnel file shows he never returned to construction work. Took a clerk position in Omsk. Low clearance, no access to state projects. His replacement was Major Viktor Petrov, not a civilian supervisor, military, Corps of Engineers. His first report is dated December 1977.
Assumed command of Object 19. Sigma construction. Current depth 57 meters. Crew performing adequately despite previous supervisors' alarmist reports. No structural concerns. Excavation proceeds on schedule.
On schedule? But what schedule? There's still no completion date, no final depth, no updated plans. Just that single line from May 1977. Dig until instructed otherwise. January 1978. Depth 65 meters. Petrov's report includes something new. A request, not for transfer, for equipment.
Excavation approaching depth where manual labor becomes inefficient. Request authorization for mechanical drilling equipment. Current rate 2 meters per week. Mechanical equipment could increase rate to 5 meters per week.
The response came from Deputy Minister Orlov himself.
Request denied. Excavation will continue using manual labor only. Maintain current rate. Do not deviate.
2 meters per week. Manual labor. Digging deeper into bedrock with pickaxes and shovels and wheelbarrows. Like something from the previous century. Like prisoners building a canal. Except these weren't prisoners. These were trained construction workers, engineers, skilled labor. And they were digging a hole with no bottom. February 1978. Depth 73 meters. Dr. Volkova's medical logs show increasing incidents, nosebleeds, hearing loss, tinnitus, workers complaining of pressure. Not just in their ears, in their chests, in their heads. One worker, Sergei Klimov, was sent to the medical tent after collapsing at the bottom of the shaft. Volkova's notes are clinical but disturbed.
Patient exhibits signs of severe atmospheric pressure exposure, but atmospheric pressure should be higher underground, not lower. Patient reports sensation of falling upward, states that gravity felt wrong at bottom of excavation, disoriented, refused to return to work below 60 meters.
Klimov was transferred off-site, replaced. Work continued. March 1978. Depth 81 meters. Security officer Melnikov filed a report. Not about the workers, about the excavation itself.
Conducted inspection of excavation site. Depth confirmed at 81 meters. Shaft diameter consistent. Walls reinforced with timber supports per standard procedure. However, observed unusual acoustic phenomenon. Sounds from bottom of shaft do not behave as expected. Echoes delayed. Sometimes overlapping. Sometimes absent entirely. Recommend acoustic analysis.
His recommendation was denied. No explanation given. April 1978. Depth 87 meters. Petrov's report includes a detail he'd never mentioned before.
Workers report finding carved symbols on rock face at 75-meter depth. Symbols do not match any known language or marking system. Photographed and documented. Continuing excavation as ordered. Symbols appear to continue deeper.
The photographs are in this folder. 6 images. Black and white. Grainy. They show the rock wall of the shaft. And carved into the limestone, clear as anything, are symbols. Geometric. Precise. Regular intervals. They look almost like text. Almost like someone wrote something on the walls of a shaft that didn't exist yet. May 1978. Depth 94 meters. The photographs continue. More symbols. Different patterns. Some circular, some angular. All carved with precision that shouldn't be possible. Not with primitive tools. Not in solid limestone. Petrov sent the photographs to the Leningrad Design Institute. Asked if the symbols matched any previous geological surveys of the area. The response is in this folder. Single sentence.
No geological surveys were conducted prior to excavation. Symbols are not natural formations. Origin unknown.
June 1978. Depth 102 meters. Dr. Volkova filed an urgent medical report.
3 workers hospitalized after shift at bottom of shaft. All 3 report identical symptoms. Sensation of being watched. Overwhelming conviction that they were not alone down there. Physical symptoms include elevated heart rate, hyperventilation, and acute paranoia. All 3 refuse to return to excavation work. Request immediate psychological evaluation and possible site closure.
The request was denied. The 3 workers were transferred, replaced. Work continued. July 1978. Depth 109 meters. Security Officer Melnikov's report is 2 pages long. No longer clinical, no longer detached.
Conducted personal inspection of excavation to verify crew reports. Descended to 100-meter depth. Observations as follows. Air temperature decreases with depth as expected. However, at approximately 90 meters, temperature begins to increase. At 100 meters, air is noticeably warm. No explanation for heat source. Acoustic anomalies confirmed. Sounds behave inconsistently. Dropped wrench at 100-meter depth. No impact sound heard. Wrench not recovered. Atmosphere feels pressurized despite depth. Breathing difficult. Recommend immediate investigation by qualified scientists.
Melnikov's recommendation was noted. No scientists were sent. Excavation continued. August 1978. Depth 116 meters. Petrov's report is brief, factual. But there's something in the language, a strain.
Excavation proceeds. Symbols on rock face continue, becoming more frequent, appearing at regular intervals now, approximately every 2 meters. Crew refuses to work alone at bottom of shaft. Implemented buddy system. Productivity decreased, but morale requires it.
September 1978. Depth 123 meters. No report from Petrov. Instead, there's a transcript. Radio communication. Between Petrov at the surface and a worker at the bottom of the shaft. The worker's name is listed as Ivan Nestorov. Transcript begins.
Nestorov, this is Petrov. Confirm your position. Bottom of shaft, 123 meters. What is your status? I can hear it. Hear what? The sound. From below. It's not an echo. It's something else. It's coming from underneath. Describe the sound. Like breathing. Slow. Deep. Like something big. Something waiting. Return to surface immediately. It knows we're here. The symbols. They're not warnings. They're markers. Counting down. We're getting close. Close to what? Nestorov, return to surface now. I can see the bottom. It's not rock. It's something else. It's...
Transmission ended. Nestorov was retrieved from the shaft 20 minutes later. Unconscious. No visible injuries. He woke in the medical tent 6 hours later. Dr. Volkova's notes describe him as catatonic, non-responsive, staring at nothing. Nestorov never spoke again. He was transferred to a psychiatric facility in Chelyabinsk. The facility records show he remained there until his death in 1995. Cause of death: heart failure. His medical files note that in 17 years of confinement, he never said a single word. Just sat, staring at the floor, like he was looking down into something only he could see. October 1978. Depth 128 meters. Petrov filed a formal request. Not for equipment, not for personnel, for termination of the project.
Excavation has reached unsafe depth. Structural integrity of shaft questionable. Crew psychological state deteriorating. Purpose of excavation unclear. Recommend immediate cessation of work and backfilling of shaft. This project serves no identifiable goal and poses significant risk to personnel.
The response came from Deputy Minister Orlov. Same day.
Request denied. Excavation continues. You have your orders, Major. Follow them.
November 1978. Depth 135 meters. Petrov's reports stop. Not because he was transferred, because he went down into the shaft himself. Security logs show he descended at 600 hours. He was expected back at surface by 800 hours. He didn't return. Search teams went down, found him at 130-meter depth, sitting against the wall, conscious, uninjured. But he wouldn't move, wouldn't respond. Just sat there, staring down into the darkness below. They had to carry him out. Dr. Volkova examined him. No physical trauma, no signs of injury or illness. But he wouldn't speak, wouldn't look at anyone, just stared at the ground. Volkova's notes include one detail: Petrov's hands. His fingernails were broken, torn, like he'd been clawing at something. At the rock, at the walls, at the symbols. Petrov was evacuated to Moscow, committed to a military psychiatric facility. His file shows he remained there for 3 months, then released. Not cured, just released, no explanation. He returned to duty, but never to construction work. Assigned to administrative duties. Desk job, low clearance. He died in 1989. Car accident, single vehicle, drove off a bridge outside Volgograd. No skid marks, no attempt to brake. Witness statements describe the car accelerating as it approached the bridge, like he was aiming for the edge. December 1978. Depth 141 meters. New supervisor. Colonel Arkady Suslov. Career military. No construction background, no engineering experience. Just orders. His first report is a single paragraph.
Assumed command object 19 Sigma. Current depth 141 meters. Excavation continues per directive. Crew discipline maintained through strict oversight. No deviations permitted.
January 1979. Depth 147 meters. Dr. Volkova filed her final report.
I can no longer provide adequate medical care under current conditions. 32 workers treated for psychological distress in past 3 months. 15 transferred off-site. Morale non-existent. Workers describe identical experiences. Sensation of presence below. Feeling of being observed from beneath. Some report dreams. Same dream. Standing at edge of shaft. Looking down. Seeing something looking back. I have begun experiencing these dreams myself. Request immediate transfer.
Volkova was transferred, replaced by a military physician, Dr. Mikhail Sorokin. His medical logs are brief, clinical, no psychological observations. Just physical injuries, broken bones, lacerations, frostbite, the routine traumas of construction work. No mention of dreams, no mention of presence, just bodies breaking down. February 1979. Depth 153 meters. Security Officer Melnikov filed his final report. Not about the excavation, about the project itself.
I have served the state for 16 years. I have investigated traitors, saboteurs, and enemies of the people. I have never questioned my orders, but I am questioning them now. This excavation has no purpose. We are not building anything. We are just digging. Digging towards something that should not be reached. The workers know it. The supervisors know it. Everyone knows it, except those giving the orders. Or perhaps they know it best of all. Request clarification of project objectives. Request explanation of final depth requirements.
Melnikov's request was denied. He was removed from the project, transferred to border security in Kamchatka, as far from Object 19 Sigma as possible while remaining in the Soviet Union. March 1979. Depth 160 meters. No reports from Suslov. Just work logs, crew rotations, material requisitions. The bureaucratic machinery of a project with no end. April 1979. Depth 166 meters. The symbols on the walls changed. The photographs in this folder show it clearly. The earlier symbols were complex, geometric, precise. But at 160 meters they simplify, become more basic, more urgent. They look like warnings. May 1979. Depth 171 meters. First deaths, not accidents, suicides. 2 workers, same night. Both hung themselves in their barracks. No notes, no signs of distress beforehand. Security investigation found nothing. No connection between the 2 men. Different shifts, different crews. They'd never even spoken to each other. But both had worked at the bottom of the shaft that week. Both had seen the symbols. Both had heard the sound. June 1979. Depth 177 meters. 3 more suicides, then 4, then 7. All workers who descended below 160 meters. All within 2 weeks of their last shift at the bottom. The project was hemorrhaging personnel. Workers were transferred in, worked 1 shift, requested immediate reassignment. Those who couldn't be reassigned simply left, deserted, walked off the site into the forest and never came back. July 1979. Depth 182 meters. Colonel Suslov's report includes a detail he'd avoided mentioning until now.
Excavation rate has decreased significantly. Crew refuses to work below 170 meters without armed escort. Even with escorts, productivity minimal. Workers claim the air is wrong down there, that it tastes like metal, that the darkness is too dark. Request authorization to implement disciplinary measures to maintain work schedule.
Authorization granted. Disciplinary measures implemented. The next page is a punishment log. Workers confined to barracks. Rations reduced. 1 worker shot for attempting to flee the site. The excavation continued. August 1979. Depth 187 meters. An incident report. Filed by night shift supervisor. Name redacted. At approximately 0230 hours, workers at bottom of shaft reported seeing light. Not from their work lamps, from below, from beneath the excavation. Described as faint, blue, pulsing. Workers retreated to surface. Inspection conducted at 0600 hours. No light source found, no explanation. Resuming work as ordered. September 1979. Depth 192 meters. The light appeared again. Multiple sightings, different crews, same description. Blue, pulsing, coming from below, always from below. Suslov sent a team down with specialized equipment, cameras, sensors, atmospheric monitors. The equipment failed at 180-meter depth. All of it. Simultaneously. Cameras stopped recording. Sensors gave impossible readings. Temperature gauges showed the air at 190 meters was minus 40 degrees Celsius. But the workers felt heat, oppressive, suffocating. October 1979. Depth, 197 meters. Work stopped, not by order, by refusal. The entire crew, all of them, refused to descend. Colonel Suslov's report is terse, angry.
Crew in open mutiny. Refuse all orders to continue excavation. Claim shaft has reached something that should not be disturbed. Request authorization for summary discipline. Request immediate replacement of entire workforce.
The response came from Moscow. Not from Deputy Minister Orlov, from someone higher. The signature is illegible. Just a stamp. The same stamp from the original authorization. Red ink. Directorate seal.
Maintain current crew. Excavation continues. Use whatever means necessary.
Whatever means necessary. That phrase appears 17 times in Soviet documents. It always means the same thing. November 1979. Depth, 199 meters, the final meter. The crews worked it in shifts. 4 hours on, 2 hours off. Armed guards at the surface and at every platform going down. No one worked alone. No one was allowed to stop. The excavation reached 200 meters on November 19, 1979. The photographs from that day are in this folder. The bottom of the shaft, 200 meters down, and carved into the floor. Not the wall. The floor. A circle. Perfect. Geometric. And inside the circle, symbols. The same symbols from the walls, but arranged differently, deliberately, like text, like instructions. And in the center of the circle, a mark, deeper than the others, carved with force. It looks like an arrow, pointing down. Colonel Suslov filed his final report that night.
Excavation has reached 200 meters. Recommend immediate cessation of work. The floor shows evidence of previous excavation. Someone has been here before. Someone dug this shaft before we arrived. The symbols are not warnings. They are directions, telling us to keep digging. But we should not keep digging. We should seal this shaft and leave, immediately.
The response came the next morning. Continue excavation, breach the floor, descend to next level. Suslov followed his orders. The crew broke through the floor on November 21st, 1979. The carved circle, the symbols. They shattered it with sledgehammers and pneumatic drills. The stone was thin, only 30 centimeters thick. It broke easily. And beneath it was nothing. Not soil, not rock, not another layer of limestone, nothing. Empty space. A cavity. The workers dropped flares. Watched them fall. The flares descended for 40 seconds before disappearing from view. No impact sound. No light reflecting back. Just darkness, going down forever. The excavation stopped, not by order, by impossibility. You cannot dig through nothing. You cannot descend into empty space without equipment, without support, without understanding what you are descending into. Suslov sent his final report on November 23, 1979. Excavation cannot continue in current form. Shaft has opened into pre-existing cavity of unknown depth. Recommend geological survey, structural analysis, and reassessment of project parameters before proceeding. The response came on November 25th. Project complete. Seal shaft. Evacuate all personnel. Destroy all documentation. Object 19. Sigma is hereby decommissioned. The shaft was sealed. Concrete. 30 meters of it. Poured from the surface down. Buried the entire excavation. 200 meters of work. 3 years of labor. 17 deaths. 43 psychiatric evacuations. All buried under concrete. The workers were transferred. Scattered across the Soviet Union. Different postings. Different units. Different lives. None of them ever spoke about Object 19 Sigma. Most of them didn't live long after. Suicides, accidents, early deaths. By 1990, only 12 of the original 200 workers were still alive. Colonel Suslov retired in 1981. Moved to a small apartment in Minsk. Lived alone. No family, no visitors. Neighbors reported he never left his apartment. Never opened his curtains. Just stayed inside always. He was found dead in 1987, heart attack. But the apartment was strange. Every mirror covered, every window sealed. And on the floor, in the center of his living room, scratched into the wood, a circle. Perfect, geometric, and inside the circle, symbols. The same symbols from 200 meters down. This folder is all that remains. 23 pages. Blueprints for a structure with no completion date. Reports from men who saw something they were never meant to see. Photographs of symbols that told them to keep digging. Because Object 19 Sigma was never about building, it was about reaching. Reaching something that was already there. Something that had been there for a very long time. Something that carved symbols into rock. Symbols that said, keep going. Symbols that said, you are almost here. And when they finally reached it, when they broke through the floor and saw what was waiting below, they sealed it, buried it, destroyed the records. But they kept this folder, these 23 pages, because someone needed to remember. Someone needed to know. That 200 meters beneath the forest outside Sverdlovsk, there is a shaft, filled with concrete, buried, forgotten. And beneath the concrete, beneath the 200 meters, there is something else. Something that was waiting, something that is still waiting. Because the excavation never ended, it just changed hands. They dug for 3 years, manual labor, 2 meters per week, descending towards something they could feel but not see. And when they stopped, when they sealed the shaft and walked away, something else started digging, from below, coming up. The folder ends with a memo, undated, unsigned, just a single sentence. Typed on blank paper. Do not return to Object 19 Sigma. Do not attempt excavation. The project is complete. But complete implies an ending, and this project was never supposed to end. It was just supposed to keep going down. Forever.